Pulled pork. Shepherd's pie.
Y'all are just
Peas and
determined to...
carrots, peas and carrots, peas and carrots.
Okay, alright.
Beer.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna get the map
Gotta say
more properly
that
oriented.
mango sorbet and mocha frappuccino is a weird flavor together.
Well, you're the one who decided to put that flavor combination together.
It's not bad, it's just weird.
Fair. Okay. And now to start the link bowman.
Yee.
Howdy doody, howdy doody, howdy doody, howdy doody.
Yes, hello everyone. 2 Saturdays in a row we do thing.
Yee.
Yes, we have the availability, and thus we do.
Who knows? We might even start doing that with the availability. We might even start doing that thing we talked about a while ago. Sometimes we won't always take this day to do D&D. Sometimes we might just take it to do other stuff together.
Yee.
That's planning required.
Yee.
Yeah. So, how has everybody been this week?
Busy.
That is fair. General groan, of course. Eh.
Yeah, same old on my end.
Yeah, things have been a bit annoying on my end. Just some things taking longer than they should to get done, both on my end and from other people, but that's neither here nor there. But at least our characters get to relax.
Yeah.
Yee.
It's time to relax vicariously through your characters filled with trauma.
Oh
What do you
boy!
say about our actual lives?
Yes, all the drama that does not exist in real life.
I said trauma, but that's also fair.
Trauma, drama.
I'm a trauma.
The only difference is really the starting letter and how much emotional scarring it causes.
Well, trauma also has a U that trauma doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh no, he has broken my joke. How? Oh no, I shall now crumble apart to the drama.
Oh,
You okay?
fine. Fine. I almost just dropped my burger.
Oof.
Oof.
That
My burger, which is only partially a burger and is also partially a chicken sandwich.
that that reminds me of the one time I
Fucking-
lost a burger. It was to a dog that's similar to Captain, except the dog was smart and yanked the paper
No.
that my burger was sitting on to launch it onto the floor. And once it's full on the floor, it was fair game.
Trying to insinuate that Captain ain't smart?
No, but Captain is not that as voraciously misbehaved as that dog.
That's a fair point. Captain is smart, but he's for the most part a good boy. He has on occasion stolen food. He stole a steak right out of someone's hand because they were being silly and waving it around while talking, and he's just like, mine now, yum. And just snatched it. And then the person it was stolen from was like, you know what? Fair game.
Does not dangle a carrot and expect the creature to not bite.
This is fair.
Crunch.
Alrighty, but shall we get into our introductions?
Clearly, that's a yes.
Crunch.
Crunch munch.
I'm sorry. I'm hungry.
No worries.
We can just take our times time doing introductions to give you a chance to eat for a minute.
It won't take me long.
Devour. Inhale that burger. As I introduce myself. Hello, everybody. I'm Armored Hunter. And I play Da Vinci, the fancy boy. Who is very curious as to how uncomfortable or how flustered one of his traveling companions is going to be at the prestige they're about to experience.
Yes! Hi, I'm Danny Boop. I am the person who plays that particular character, Morrigan. And oh boy, without realizing it, Bliss has gotten revenge on Morrigan.
Truthfully, really the weirdest way to get revenge, by being really nice.
And I don't even think she would have wanted to get revenge anyway. Because she seemed fairly understanding of the situation.
Yeah, she's not the revenge sort. At least not on you.
This is fair. Failsy.
Fail Trolls. I play the Failsy. I don't really have a equip for now.
I am Methosia. I play Brimstone, who is currently also having revenge being done on him. It's fine.
He didn't seem to object to it too much at the end of last session.
That's fine.
It's less revenge and more makeup.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a nailed burger. Alrighty then. Hello everyone, I'm Ash. I'm the DM. Stuff. Things. There's no intro today. We're rolling right into things. Alright, so. If everyone's ready to go ahead and get started, let's go ahead and get started.
Mm-hmm.
I have my water.
Yes.
The demons have been unleashed. Okay, we're good to go.
I have tea.
Coffee and soda do it to me. Pretty much anything that has caffeine in it makes me burp.
Oof.
It's the one effect caffeine has on me.
Oof.
Alrighty. Failsy Myth, you guys good to go?
Yeah.
Alright, so. Be going through downtime day by day. But first, my question begins here. Is there a floor plan you guys wanted to submit?
I have been rummaging around some ideas. I haven't had it fully written down, but I can audibly state to what the floor plan would be, if desired. Or or I can get you the diagram done up by tomorrow or Monday.
Give me 1 second. So, if I remember rightly, I told you guys this is supposed to be a 40-foot by 40-foot space, correct?
No, you stated 30 by 30.
30 by 30. I remember 40 by 40. Okay. It's 30 by 30. While we're going over downtime, a space for it. Trying to make it 30 foot by 30 foot would actually be 6 by 6.
Yes.
Well, for the sake of being able to lay things out a bit more clearly, this is a 30 cube by 30 cube map. So, if you would like to, treat this as if each cube is a foot, and lay out some borders as you desire. Anyone can throw in some details to this if you want to. This is just basically a background drawing element you guys can do whilst we're going over the downtime activities, while you're not currently actively doing something. If you want to, at least.
Yeah.
No pressure. In the meantime, though, I would like for everyone to go ahead and roll a d20 so we can determine basically the turn order and how the downtime is going to play out per day. Alright.
Well, that order seems pretty well set.
So we're going to have Failsy first, Brimstone second, Motogun third, and Benshave fourth. Alrighty then.
Yee.
So I should probably turn on some actual background music as opposed to just the town ambience. Let's see if that plays properly. That's a little too poppy.
Very bouncy, though.
Let's see. Where's this one? I think that's alright for background for now.
Yee.
Alrighty then. So, going down the line, we've got the first. So, for your first day of downtime activities, you were wanting to try to check out the actual archives, correct?
Yeah.
Right, so somewhat been warned to the fact that not really a place where outsiders are allowed in without jurisdiction permitting them. So, how are you wanting to go about getting into the library?
Well, I would assume that being a scholar, I can use that authority to enter archives and libraries.
Alright then.
If not,
So
then there's
keeping
the,
that...
if not, then there's the more subtle approach.
Fair enough. Well, you're correct. Using your scholar background can certainly get you in. Essentially, you just have to walk up to the people who are being in charge of who's coming in and out of the archives. And you essentially are flashing them the documentation that you have from the Zemodis Temple to the effect of you being a scholar allowed to research outside of the temple. It's betterment. Due to this country's relation with the Zemodis Temple and in general the Draic Empire as a whole, it is respected.
Good. Did not have to become a puddle and just slip under the door.
Yes, you did not have to become Puddle. Right, so what are you looking into now that you're actually in the archive?
Have a look at my to-do list.
Ah, yes, the terrifying to-do list. For one of the items, if I remember correctly, is kill a god? Or become a god? I don't remember exactly.
Probably both on there.
It wouldn't, with Failsy as a character, it would not surprise me.
Research Magisteria, research Leviathans, research Sublucidus, research link between goblins and Magisteria, research soul bonding, and research the Dread Tyrant. Probably cross a couple of these off now.
Alright. Quite a few topics there, so let's pick one for today and let's see how you do. Which one would you like to try to research your first downtime day?
We'll go for the big one. Let's see if this library has anything on Corvanus.
You're trying to research Corvanus itself. Alrighty. Go ahead
now-
and make...
Actually, now I'm thinking of Obsnick. I'll probably look at the goblins and Magisteria.
Said goblins and magisteria.
Apparently, there's a link between them. I've completely forgotten what I was looking for, but I've got written here: research link between goblins and Magisteria.
I feel like that might have been specifically because that one group of the powder keg goblins were
Probably.
being linked to magisteria, and you might have been researching that. So is that what you want to try to look into?
How? Nah, bugger, just Corvanus.
All right. Go ahead and make me an investigation check.
Investigate. That is a 25.
Ooh. Pretty darn good.
I'm just picturing Fauzi reaming through the shelves and just books flying everywhere. Nope, 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 nope.
Well, it's less that you're doing things like that and just flying through the shelves, and more you're very specifically going through directories and such to try to find out where information like of that nature and that sort of gravity would be stored. I'm setting up this turn order so that I don't lose track of the actual order of the turns as we go forward and roles start filling up the chat. Alrighty then. So, while looking through, very distinctly you'd find out with your 25 investigation that when in reference to the name Corvanus, you do not find anything. However, you do find references to another title you've heard for this entity known as the Dread Tyrant. It's a particularly old historical tome. It actually is written more akin to a diary or a field journal, you would guess. It looks like it would have been a journal that was kept by a soldier while they were in the middle of combat. Your general experience when it comes to ancient historical documents that need to be preserved is certainly coming into play here when you look at this. The yellowed to this point of almost turning brown pages. You worry that as you hold this book it might fall apart if it were not magically reinforced. It is certainly something pulled right out of the history books almost. Alrighty then. You read through it, and it actually gives a few first-hand accounts. There are no dates exactly. It seems like the person writing it wasn't even sure of what day it was, and you see that referenced at many points throughout their writings that they've lost track of the day of the year it even is right now. They don't know what season it is anymore. They don't know how long they've been in this battle. Okay.
This person certainly
Getting
needs
my
that
notes.
device that Richie owns.
Perhaps. Okay, but as you're reading through it, you do finally start seeing references to the thing that they keep referring to as the Dread Tyrant. Often comparing it to the size of a castle, if not bigger. Something that would just march over their forts every time that they try to erect one in defense from it. You're not... Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like you're gaining a ton of information, at least any more than you already had. Do find a couple of interesting accounts, though, in this book, in this journal. One of them is the fact that in this journal it references several entities essentially waging a singular assault against the Dread Tyrant after it had been somehow weakened. And how this particular soldier it has no idea how a small band of warriors could defeat something that had been destroying armies. I'm not certain if you want to look for anything more specific.
Do they know how or who these warriors are? On how they managed to defeat Corvallis?
Looks like this soldier, from what you can read, didn't have any direct involvement with the conflict that happened at that moment. Does make reference to seeing what he described was a tree of lightning strike out through the sky shortly before the conflict began. Didn't really have any way to describe it other than that, and he's even drew a small depiction of it. Again, the way he draws it just looks like the skeleton of a tree reaching up into the sky. Spreading out across the entirety of what he could see through the air, as it seemed.
Is there any clue on who the small band are? Or just that it's an account of a small band?
I'm actually having to read through the notes for this journal as I'm saying this stuff. You flip forward what would be a couple of days in the actual journal, since after the conflict itself was mentioned, that band fighting, you just had normal documents talking about how they were still fighting this war against the various normal, quote-unquote, troops of Magisteria. Eventually, he does make reference to having actually gotten to meet one of the heroes. Referred to them as a person with deep-colored skin, a horn and tails, like something I've never seen before. Another with skin like that of an apple. Again, features I've never seen before. They almost look to have features like some of the creatures we face off against, yet I know they are on our side. Doesn't seem like he really got to speak to them much, but he met them.
Features like an apple mean.
Skin the color of an apple.
Okay, guess I'll look for someone who's red.
Yeah, but thinking about it, I'm gonna let your investigation check hold this one over. No need for intelligence check or anything like that. And they're describing the horns and tail features and being uncertain of it. It almost looks like they're trying to describe a tiefling, but they don't know what a tiefling is.
Tieflings do not look like apples, you stupid soldier.
Now I want you to make a intelligence check.
Just straight intelligence.
Just straight intelligence.
20.
You like say that to yourself internally while reading this over, and then you think, huh. Brimstone has apple green skin, and he's a tiefling. Probably the only green skin tiefling you've ever seen. But he is a green skin tiefling.
Maybe an ancestor of Brimstones.
Seems possible. Okay, looking. At this point, the journal stops being particularly useful for a little bit. Still, flipping through the pages, you actually get further towards the end of the journal before the soldier mentions, "We may have declared our victory too soon. I'll have to continue this another time." And that's the last entry in the journal.
God damn it, I hate cliffhangers. Suppose he died after that.
Your assumption would be maybe he died, or he never got to write another journal, or they just never discovered the next journal.
The book away for now. Or it took most of the day to find.
It took a lot of the day to find it, and it's actually quite a lengthy read. I mean, I was only giving you cliff notes of things that would be of particular importance to Failsy, but actually reading through it to find those cliff notes would have taken most of the day. Because of the high investigation check, I will give you another piece of info. Write out a few names in reference to the hero, but it looks like they've been scratched out several times. No, got a clog in my throat. When you do notice those particular things have been scratched out, you sort of very keenly look at it for a little while, trying to peer the actual writing from underneath the scratch marks. You do eventually see that one of the names starts as Zer.
Z-E-R?
Z-I-R. It's like Zurich, Zeral. It keeps being scratched out like they heard the name once and didn't get a chance to write it down before they could actually keep it in mind. Then the other name that they have written down seems to have been written down with some confidence. Which is Artrax. They seem absolutely confident that they wrote that one down correctly.
Art Rax. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they wrote down with such confidence. Yeah, for your first day of study, that is what you find.
A couple of names, and I could possibly go on to find something else, maybe? I'll try.
All right, then. You also had your nightly activities that you wanted to do, but it's not something we'll go over out of stream. It's
Okay.
not a friendly topic to discuss on stream. It's not every day. Okay, so moving on to the first day as well. Brimstone.
I wasn't muted.
So,
Uh,
okay.
don't worry about it.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I thought I was muted and I wasn't, so I ended up muting myself.
Oh, it's fine. So, sent me only a couple of things you wanted to do, so anything particular you want to get started on the first day of your little unexpected resting period?
The sooner we can find a tutor for Osnig, the sooner he'll learn how to speak Common decently enough to be easier to teach. So it's probably good to start that ball rolling as soon as we can.
Alrighty then. You want to try finding a tutor to help Osnig learn Tongue of Common a little bit smoother than what Lee, bless his heart, can teach him.
Look, Lee is good at many things. Teaching is not one of
He's doing okay.
them. He's doing better than Brimstone could, considering.
Yeah. For that, you can go ahead and make an investigation check as well.
Okay. Investigation. 19.
Right then. You actually kind of end up in the same place Failsy is. You heard about the archives, you're thinking about, now, if I want someone smart who can teach someone something, that's probably where I need to go.
Maybe around the area, yeah.
Okay. Have to roll a chance roll on my side.
I suppose I would also have to go get Osnig from Lee.
Well, you probably want to find the tutor first and then go get Osnig.
That's fair.
Point to just drag him around the city and have him screech at every passerby.
That's fair. Brimstone is not strong enough to carry that watermelon for hours at a time.
Alright then. It takes a while until you can find an actual scholar who's willing to pay attention to you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Most of them seem to be a little self-absorbed to the point of just ignoring your existence. But eventually you do actually find an orcish scholar.
Perfect.
Just a little weird to see.
Hey, man. Not all orcs are built to work the lumberyard.
Well, no, he looks like he's built to work the lumberyard, but he's wearing scholar's robes and tiny little nose glasses.
Mentally built to work the scholar yard.
Yard.
Like, fuck you.
I think those tiny little glasses that just sit on your nose are called pince nez.
Yeah. Like the Teddy Roosevelt glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, he's just an orc that's pretty much the same size as Lee, maybe a little bit shorter than Lee is.
But like
Not
same broad build.
Same broad build, not quite as muscular, but looks like he'd have a little bit of a hard time fitting through most average doorways.
Right.
He's just wearing these tiny little glasses on his very like snub nose. Just turns around to look at you. Just turns his whole body to look at you.
Dude's just rolling through 1,000 push-ups every lecture.
You assume that he does push-ups while doing his lectures.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. So you're actually looking for someone who would be capable of teaching a goblin to speak common.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I ask you, do you know the genealogy of this goblin? Are you familiar with the way that goblins change and conform to their environment?
I am aware that they can do that.
Very well. Has this goblin yet to change or conform to his environment, or is he still a base goblin?
Well, we found him in the woods, so...
I see. Chances are high then that he is likely still a base goblin, which means that there is a good chance he'll be able to learn rapidly, given the correct tutelage.
Yeah. Yeah, he's willing to learn. It's just...
Given the fact that you're looking for a scholar to undertake this task, and if he is actually a base goblin fresh from the forest, I imagine this way of life must be rather alarming for him.
Yeah, he's kind of in like a watermelon, and it's like his safe place.
Ah, I see. So he has turned to food for safety.
To be fair, we've probably fed him the best that he's ever lived, so, you know.
Good that you have. Chances are high that he would not follow you otherwise.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Very well. Take me to this goblin. I shall teach him. For a fee, of course.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
How long would you like to procure lessons for this goblin?
You probably know better on how long it actually might take a person to learn a language, because I have no goddamn idea.
For the average person, it would take several months, at least to become fluent to the point of being able to speak in a conversational manner with others. The average goblin, though, they tend to pick up information surprisingly rapidly, given what most people assume of their intelligence. They're like sponges for intellect. It's part of the reason why I'm oh so curious in them. I would say it would probably take to become completely fluent in a language around a month.
Alright.
To become simply to the point where he can understand the very basics of conversation. Probably do that in about 2 weeks.
I mean... How much are we talking here, like, on a per-week basis?
It's more per the actual instruction period. Fully make him fluent in a language would cost you about... Typical going rate for lessons of that nature would be around 250 to 300 gold.
Okay.
If you can only keep him there for a lesser amount of time, I'm willing to lessen the amount.
I think more of the problem is we're going to have to find a place where we can actually keep him, because we have stuff to be doing in the meantime, but...
If he'll be studying with me, he'll be staying with me. There'd be no point otherwise. Not going to absorb the knowledge unless he is immersed in it.
You make an excellent point. I was a little worried about that, but you know what? That's fair. Alright, that works. I mean, the more the more he understands, the better. We can go to more specific concepts later, but that's something I'd be needing to teach him instead. So that'll work. We can do the full month battery.
Very well. You're definitely free to visit him at any point. I will not keep him away from his companions and allies. Obviously.
Alright, now we just gotta find him.
Lead me to this goblin.
Okay. I remember part of the name. It's something to do with pot. Because it has a cauldron.
Just let me find that name.
It's like the pot belly or something like that. Yeah, pot belly.
It was Potbelly.
Yeah, pot belly. So, yeah. I'm just gonna look for a giant cauldron on a roof, because that's the easiest landmark to find it.
Well, it's not on a roof. It's a large iron cauldron that's hanging precariously from a wooden post.
Okay, still. Find a large iron cauldron that could collapse and kill someone at any moment.
Yes. It's not hard to find because you were just there yesterday, and it's not terribly far from where Bliss lives.
Fair.
So you're still fairly familiar with the area.
Mm-hmm.
Go there while it's while that store is actually open, and the smells coming out of that place are it's this combination of like a heavy, meaty pork scent mixed with a sort of greasy fried scent to go along with it.
It smells like a smokehouse.
No, it doesn't smell like a smokehouse.
Or like a barbecue.
No, it doesn't smell like a barbecue either. It smells like a really good Chinese restaurant.
Okay, that works.
Like the best way I can think to describe the smell coming out of this place.
You know what? That makes sense. Pork, fry. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'm still. Brimstone just like, yeah, this is the place. We've had another one of our compatriots, another orc, teaching him. And he really likes to cook. I think that's why Osnig is so attached to him. You know, he makes food. Osnig likes to eat food, so.
Fair and beneficial agreement, I would say.
Yeah.
If he has already been instructed by an orc, then he should have no problem switching over to another orc teaching him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
All right then. What is your other companion's name?
Lee.
Simple name.
Oh boy.
There's no tribal name.
As far as Brimstone is aware, he doesn't have one, right?
You know Lee's full name is Lee Tundell.
Tundell, I think.
Tundell.
Yeah, it doesn't have any significance to me.
It's not an orc tribe from around these parts. He's come quite far then.
He's lived most of his life on a boat, so.
See the scholar just make a face at that?
Is what?
Which is quite bizarre. The Tundell tribe is completely landlocked.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose that they are a tribe from the Jezebeth region, so there's possibility that they could find themselves to the sea at some point.
I mean, that's what he told us, and honestly, I don't think he knows how to lie. So,
I think you'll find that most of us orcs are rather earnest with our statements.
yeah.
Very well. We'll discuss payment going forward in the arrangement of delivery of said payment, but for now I'll go take my time to introduce myself. Look like a busy man, so I'll not have you wait around in the meantime. I'd ask for your name, though.
You can just call me Brimstone.
Very well, Brimstone. My name is Artian.
Artian, alright. I remember that.
Yes. Artian of the Moonglow tribe.
That sounds druidy.
Would not be terribly far off. There's quite a few sorcerers in our ilk, actually.
Hmm. Fair enough.
Be in contact.
Alright. Appreciate your help.
I appreciate the chance to learn and to learn, to inform, and to make some coin.
I appreciate your honesty.
As I said, they're earnest.
Fair enough.
I'm
Alright.
gonna watch as he heads inside this shop.
Yep.
Seemingly leaving you to do whatever it is else you'd want to do. You get the sense that before he fully agrees to this, he at least wants to meet on personal terms with this goblin to see if they are teachable.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I suppose I'll try to find someone else in the meantime. Another member of my party.
All right. Failsy is at the archives because you would have seen her getting in as you arrived there as well.
Right. Someone that's not
Given
Failsy.
that the both of you were coming from. Well,
that's harder. I know. So Brimstone would probably look for an hour, realize they're probably doing their own stuff if he doesn't find anyone, and then go back to Bliss's and wait for the evening when they'll probably be back at the hotel.
let's.
I guess we can resolve that while everyone else is doing something else.
Because Morrigan is next, and because you'd be heading back in the direction she'd be going.
Okay.
I'd like for both of you to roll a perception check.
Can
Okay.
do. Perception.
I ain't seeing shit.
7.
At this point, Brimstone's probably already been looking for an hour, so he's not really paying attention anymore. He's just like, whatever, I'll wait later.
Well, because they're within 5 of each other, you do find each other.
Oh. Probably just runs into her accident. Oh, shit. Oh! Hi, Morgan. That's
Hi.
convenient. That's convenient. Okay.
Morrigan,
Mhm.
just to let you know how your previous evening and morning have been.
Mm-hmm.
Bath at the spa you guys went to was really nice. Bath at that hotel was bordering on way too comfortable.
Oh, that kind of bath where it's so comfortable you almost fall asleep in it.
Yeah. The water in the baths in that hotel has this weird viscosity to it, where at first it's really uncomfortable because it doesn't feel like water. But after you've given yourself a moment to try to sink into it and get used to it, it almost makes it feel like your body just disappears as you become one with it.
Ah, salt soak.
Yeah.
I am down for that.
It's that water that has the exact density to make your body feel weightless.
Ah, I've never done that, but I am aware of what you're talking about.
It is freaky. Done it.
Fair enough. But with this, would I be heading to or from one of the first thing I would have wanted to do was the scribe network thing?
I'm gonna say because of the fact that I imagine Bonagun has been particularly stressed among the party with everything going on. So after having that entire very relaxing day, you probably slept in a little past what everyone else did.
Fair enough. So this would be on her way to it then.
Yeah. Pretty much run into each other in the central plaza,
Okay.
which is where the Scribe Network building is.
Okay. So.
You seem more relaxed. I don't know.
Oh, I think it's just being able to take a very weird but oddly relaxing bath and then sleeping in a far more comfortable bed than I thought I'd be getting.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that was an interesting experience.
Yeah, the key Bliss gave me apparently special penthouse suite that she basically just in infernal whispers in Brimstone's ear everything that key gives you.
In short, for the sake of everyone who isn't aware what we talked about out of game,
Yeah.
it is essentially acts somewhat as a black card, but its main property is that it literally lets you get into one of those specialty suites that would normally be reserved for high-standing nobility.
And if I
Everything
remember,
within that place is complimentary because it's expected that your estate will pay for the process afterwards.
Mm.
Oops. Get a bill later.
That's pretty fancy. I can see why she was a little awkward trying to use it. That plus she might have been concerned about other things, but
from what I could tell when she gave me the key, she didn't know what it did.
yeah. But I mean, just given the fact that it's rather ornate, I mean, I figured it was something fancy, but
I mean,
I don't know how all these things work.
I would say Brimstone.
Yeah.
You are fully aware of the fact that Bliss had no idea what that key was actually for.
Yeah.
Because she mentioned as such during your stay there.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair. I don't know.
anyway, you said it was convenient that you ran into me?
Yeah, managed to find a tutor for Osnig, so that's taken care of. Another orc, so thankfully we don't have to worry about him being different than Lee, I guess. Hopefully it works out, I don't know. I'm probably going to be staying with Bliss for the duration, unless she kicks me out. I hope she doesn't, but I don't know.
Well, I hope she doesn't either. It's good to see you being with someone who's making you happy.
I know.
Hey,
Yeah.
After everything
Yeah.
that's happened, one of us at least deserves happiness. I'm genuinely happy you're getting to, well, get it.
Huh. You know, if I was a cockier man, I'd say that I would detect a hint of jealousy.
She kind of does the hand wave thing.
Nah, I know.
It's neither here nor there, and there's no time for it right now.
I know. I'm just giving you shit.
I know you are.
Bale's at the archive doing God knows what. Looking up blasphemous rituals for all I know. I don't know.
I highly doubt that. Like, yeah, she's a bit chaotic, but she's actually, from what I've seen, a very serious scholar, so I imagine she's actually researching. Like, proper research.
Probably. I guess I wonder what she's looking up, more or less, but I don't really want to ask her in case, it's something I don't really want to know.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I mean, she's a scholar, but who knows what they wanted her to research. For all I know, it might just be the fairy tales, what everyone else believes in. Not that I think they would. I don't know.
Well, I do know her researching things and taking notes has come in handy for us, so...
Yeah. I mean, we're going to be here for a week. I'm sure she's going to look up a lot of things in between whatever else she's doing. What that is specifically, I guess it's our business.
Fair enough. I don't snoop into whatever it is she's looking up unless she sees fit to, pull me aside and be like, hey, I found out this.
Right. Professor Venture ain't with you. These are two of you are thick as thieves.
He had to take care of his own things today, and I gotta take care of my own. So...
That's fair. I probably shouldn't keep you then.
Yeah.
Just figured I'd let someone know about what I was planning on, so you didn't have to worry about me.
I'll let the others know.
Alright. I'm gonna head back that way. Hopefully everything goes well for you.
Thank you. Well, if we end up not seeing each other again until the end of the week, I hope the rest of your week is pleasant.
I hope so. Brimstone will just start heading off towards Bliss's.
Not a much further trip than where you currently are. She puts you to work, by the way.
That's fine. It's spending time with her. That's fine.
The rest of your day is spent helping her with the actual bakery.
That's fine. Okay, I'm good.
Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
You're already in the central plaza.
Yep.
It's not too hard to find the Scribe Network building. It sort of stands out among the other buildings in this area due to the sheer traffic of people going in and out of it.
Yeah. And, like, as she's entering, she's gonna... Because she didn't know if she needed to or not. Because I don't imagine she would have used Scribe Network stuff very often.
Probably not. They're really only in bigger cities.
Yeah.
There's only really, like, one outpost for them in the Palecrest Isles.
Yeah, so she... pulls out 2 different sheets of paper that she wrote things down on. Just because, in case it needed to be written in her own hand, she decided to write it down.
Right then. So, entering that building, sort of have to be careful about this, but having spent some time in Fellhaven, you're kind of used to this almost metered flow of people where you just have to constantly like be in the groove with everyone to make sure you don't get trampled.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, these people aren't moving nearly as robotically as otherwise, so you could actually just do your own thing, and as long as you're careful, you don't get hit.
Yeah. And if need be, she will, like, say, like, polite, excuse me, pardon me's. When she's needing to get through and can do so.
It takes a little bit of time for you to actually get to the front desk due to the fact that there is a bit of a waiting line of people doing much like you're doing, where they're passing off letters and information, being led to different parts of the facility.
Yeah.
After about 20 minutes or so of being in this line, you do get to the front of it and are greeted by a rather large-nosed human man. Yes, what is your business today? Says he's currently dipping a quill into an inkwell and starting to write.
Looking to send correspondence to my mother and my father.
Alright, personal documentation. Do you know of the locations of these 2 individuals, or will that have to be procured?
I know the location of my mother. I only have a vague idea as to where my father is.
Very well, we can use our network connections to attempt to find out the closest network locale to his current residence. Alright, very well. We will need to know the full names of both of these individuals for our record keeping.
Right, well, if it would be easier to do the one that I have a location for first.
Either order is fine, we just need to know the names.
Right, the first is my mother. Her name is Moira O'Brien.
You watch as you speak, everything you say he is transcribing onto a weirdly crisp piece of paper in front of him.
I don't think we ever established a name for the town Morrigan's from, so...
Let me look at my notes real quick.
I just know that she's from Bogcrest Island specifically.
You're from the isle. You're from the island Bogcrest.
Yeah.
Is the actual like villages in the Palecrest Isles don't really get names per se unless they decide on one for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of just a single collective community known as the island.
Yeah. So if there's no name
So-
for the town she's from, she'll just say the island.
But yeah, her actual hometown, due to a certain thing that we have discussed before, does have a name. But it is not commonly used because it's kind of silly. It is referred to as Ratron.
So she... I forgot we did that. But... Oh, yes,
I didn't.
I already said the name. She lives in the town of Ratron on the island of Bogcrest in the Palecrest Isles.
Very well. Bit far from our actual correspondence location, but not impossible for one of our scribes to reach.
Right.
Looks like physical documentation to be sent to the location. Certainly does make the process somewhat easier and less expensive on our part.
I actually wrote letters.
Yes, that is what I'm referring to.
Oh, fair. I did look some into, like, a word limitation, and I tried to stay within that.
Yes, generally speaking, these types of transfers do better with smaller scripts. We can transfer large documents, but it does tend to make the price a little bit higher.
Fair
Magical
enough.
sending of words through the ether is somewhat challenging.
Fair enough, but here's the one I wrote out for my mother. Her name is written on the envelope.
Okay, very well. I'll file this away with this current document. Sort of just slips it under the piece of paper he's been writing on.
Yeah. Before I get to the second one, could I go ahead and get a price on what that would cost to do?
But we're going to a centralized location for the sake of sending it, and not having a scribe to go out of the way. It would only be 10 gold. Due to having to have a scribe travel for the sake of the document being delivered, it will run you 25 gold pieces. Which would be ridiculously expensive to not an adventurer.
Yeah.
The scribe network is mostly used by nobility and people of high standing.
Yeah. If I just to remind me above game, it's the 10-10-10 exchange rate, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so she will hand him 2 platinum and 5 gold.
Ah, very well.
Very
You
well.
should have no problem also using our other service, since you mentioned you do not know the location of your second piece of correspondence.
I don't know the specific location, but if my information is right, I know what nation he's in.
Very well, that will help narrow down our search slightly, but we'll still be required to use our scribing network.
I understand, and I apologize for the inconvenience. If I had an actual location for you, I'd give it to you.
We are ready to provide you a location, should you be so curious for it.
That
We will need to take you back into the testing rooms to ensure that you have no nefarious means for finding this person's location. Obvious safety concerns.
She like joking says, if punching my staff or not getting to see him in about 10 years is nefarious, then sorry.
No, that I believe is justified.
And I'm perfectly...
As long as your intentions are not murder, we are alright with it. Generally speaking.
Yelling, cussing, maybe punch him in the face, no murder. And she's being completely honest, but if he wants to incite her, that's fine.
Doesn't really need to, nor does he care to.
That's fair. But, yes, for my father, his name is Gregory O'Brien,
All right, then.
and his name is written on the envelope I have for him. So if you need the spelling, it's right there for you. Same with my mother's.
Very well, very well.
And best idea I have as to where he is, where I heard he'd been heading last, is the Blossom Kingdom.
The Blossom Kingdom is quite a large area, so we will have to make use of the scribing network.
What'll that run me?
Scribe is a base charge of 50 gold per use.
Alright, I can afford to pay that.
And because of your personal connection with the individual, you will have to be present for the attempted scrying.
I got some time today, I can do that.
Very well. Alright then.
Do you need me to pay
Full-
up front?
Yes, I do.
Alright, so
The second piece of Actually,
Hmm.
you may go ahead and pay for the first piece of documentation and the scrying, but we cannot settle on the amount for the second letter being sent until we know the location, so that part will not be able to be paid for just yet.
Alright. Well, here's for the scrying, and she'll just hand him another 5 platinum.
Very well. Alright then. He folds up the strangely crisp piece of paper he's been writing on, folds it around the 2 letters that you had given him.
Mm-hmm.
Very quickly puts a stamp on it, which is also very weird to see. It's this strange squishy thing he's pressing onto another squishy thing. He puts it on the paper and it leaves behind an ink mark.
Huh. That's neat.
It's like a wax seal, but it's an ink. It's bizarre.
Above game, I know exactly what that is. In game, Morrigan's just like, huh. That's neat.
Take this over to Scribe A12 over there. He just sort of points you in a direction. Give this to the person standing there. Here is your scrying pass. Hands you a small wooden wooden tablet.
Mm-hmm. And everything she's handed, she will take.
Take these to the individuals standing at that bay, and they will attempt to do the scrying with you. The location is possible to be discerned that way. We can go forward, but unfortunately, if this individual is in such a situation where they cannot be scryed upon, then we will unfortunately not be able to deliver the letter in such a way.
That's fair.
Right then. It's good doing business with you. Any business further you need to concern, the person in the bay will be able to discuss with you and receive payment from that point onwards.
Alright, thank you very much. And if there's a queue for where the bay she was pointed to, she will go stand in the queue, and if not, she will just go right up to the counter.
There is actually no queue for these because it does not look like this is a service used terribly often.
Alright, then she will just go right up to the counter.
Don't see anyone immediately. You hear a couple of like, "Hey, up we go," as someone like wiggles their way onto the counter itself. See a very small gnomish individual hop up onto the countertop. Oh, good to meet you.
Good to meet you as well. I was told to come over here for scrying services, and she will hold up the little wooden placket thing.
Alright then, you're trying to find a family individual.
My father, yes.
Then, first I'll need you to place your hand upon that small crystal diode in front of you.
Is
Looking at the countertop directly in front of you, there are 3 small crystals set into it.
Mm-hmm.
One that is red, one that is blue, and then one that is clear. The red one would be on your left-hand side, the blue one is on your right-hand side, and the clear one is directly in front of you.
Which one, and is there a hand preference?
Your left hand on the left one, your right hand on the right one, please.
Alright, and she will do so.
then. As you do so, feel like a little bit of a staticky sensation coming off of these crystals as you touch them.
Mm-hmm.
That little tingle from like above game, the sort of tingle you get when you like lick a 9-volt battery, but on your hands.
Yeah. Okay. So like
It doesn't last very long though.
that's like a strong zap from like a car door then in my case.
Well, it's not even that. It's like a weird. If you actually press a 9-volt battery to your tongue, how it like makes that pins and needle feeling, but
Yeah.
it's not the same as like a limb going to sleep.
Yeah. I get you.
It's that feeling.
Yeah.
That happens in your hands and like running slightly up your arms for a second before the crystal directly in front of you turns blue. All right then. So you do not have any negative or actual potentially ill intent upon seeing this visit. Learning this location, I should say.
No.
All right, then that's good. That means we can proceed with the procedure.
Alrighty. Do I need to keep my hands on these stones or?
Yes, please.
All right.
Are you familiar with the spell Scry?
I've read about it. That's about it.
It is essentially a spell for which one can use to divine the location or general whereabouts of a person, or their current state, or their current status and activities. Looking eye of sorts.
Oh, okay.
I'll be the one performing the magic, but because I have no familiarity with this individual, you will be the one who is having to act as a focus for it. That makes sense?
Oh, I'm basically the spell focus then.
In a sort. The one providing the information for which the spell works off of.
Okay, I understand that.
Very well. And this gnomish individual places their hands on two very similar stones on the other side of the counter.
Mm-hmm.
Alright then. I do warn you, this sensation can be a bit alarming for people who've never done it before. If you've never done any form of divination magic to this extent, it can be rather jarring, and some people do find it nauseating.
I don't think I've actually ever done divination magic anyway.
And then I would recommend you lean against the counter, because you might fall over.
Alright. Lean against the counter, brace my knees, don't lock them. I know locking your knees is the worst thing you can do.
It leads to bad things happening. Alright then.
And she will do so. She will lean against the counter and kind of bend her knees some, like in power stance, but knees bent slightly, because I know from my own experience where I had fainting spells in high school, you do not want to lock your knees.
It tends to end poorly.
Yeah, you can smack your head on something a lot easier if you've locked your knees.
Alright then. So, this individual starts chanting aspects of the spell. After a minute or so, you start getting this weird sort of pulling sensation on your back.
Mm-hmm.
Not physically on you, but something trying to pull you backwards, almost like a force.
Okay.
For just all of a sudden, your point of vision starts flying upwards through the actual building, up into the sky, just through the clouds, racing in a direction you are uncertain of.
She's just staying quiet and just trusting the process, I guess you could say.
Enough. Okay then, I'm actually gonna change the music up for this.
Sorry I'm taking so long, guys.
that playing?
Yes. Sounds like
Right.
creepy organ music.
But yes, your vision races through the clouds, and as you look downwards, you can see a mountain range flying underneath you. Just flying past you. You flying past it, rather. Scan the ground below you as you can just see now racing over fields, massive flowers, whole castles below you. Strange sights, strange places. Until eventually, all of a sudden, you find yourself floating over a forest clearing that appears to be just outside of a particularly large city. A small shack of a building constructed here. Lowers itself down until it almost gives you the sensation of standing at the door to this little shack. So finally, after about a minute, it opens. The door to the shack itself opens, and a older man steps out. For you to recognize him.
Your Discord did the thing where your voice sped up, but I think you said it's not hard for Morgan to recognize him.
Yes. It's not hard for Morgan to recognize this man. Even though he looks older, he doesn't really look like he's aged a day. It's this weird dual appearance of being ragged by time, but almost ageless.
I imagine probably his hair's gotten more gray with time, though.
Yes. Gotten a bit more gray with time. The corners around his temples are starting to recede slightly. It's really the only thing about his features that makes him look like time has passed. Focus of the spell follows him as he just sort of walks towards the edge of this small clearing, a shovel, and starts moving his way into the forest. He continues to follow him. You do notice something as the focus somewhat drifts away from directly trying to just see him. He's dragging a large sack behind him. Go ahead and make a perception check. See
Okay.
what you can pick up through this scrying focus.
Okay. 16.
The focus, there's not a distinct sound to this place, but you start pressing your perceptions forward. You start actually picking up the ambience around you. Forest itself, you don't hear it. You do hear his breath. And the sack itself, which is making both a sort of thudding sound as he drags it across the ground, as well as occasionally the the crickle and crack of glass being clinked together. As the focus continues, eventually he gets to a separate part of the forest, looks around himself, and starts digging a hole. And you notice several other newly disturbed earth patches not terribly far from where this hole is located.
Okay.
Get the sensation that unlike well, you don't really have much familiarity, Morgan, with the way that a scry spell works, but get the sensation that you might be able to move this focus around, unlike how it normally works.
Hmm.
You'd like to move it in any particular way?
If she's aware there's probably a time limit on this, so like I imagine just the fact that the spell was able to find him means they have a location now.
You're uncertain, but you could assume.
Yeah, she's working under that assumption. She's just gonna like have it kind of move to where she can see what exactly he's doing, like if he's burying this bag of what sounds like glass, or if he's gonna dig something up.
To clarify, you heard two distinct sounds coming from the bag.
Yeah.
Much heavier thud as it was dragged across the ground. Occasionally it would make a thud when it would hit against a rock. And then additionally there was the sound of glass hitting together.
Oh. Just doesn't know if the scrying orb can go through, or scrying focus, whatever it is. Sorry,
Both work.
Yeah. She's unsure it can see through materials, so I guess have it hover around for as long as she can to see if she could see what's in the bag, although she has her assumptions.
Right then. You watch for a few minutes. Not terribly certain of how long this spell is meant to last. But eventually, he does stop digging. Surprised at how quickly he's able to move this earth. Get to a rather sizable hole. But you watch as he just starts dragging the bag, dump it into the hole. Actually opens it up before doing so to just empty its contents. As the contents is dumped out, you do see several of those very distinct neon blue bottles tumble out of it. A dark... Some of it is just the dark glass that the bottles are contained within, but you do see some of them that do still have that aether in it. And then additionally, you start to see small wooden figurines tumble out as well. It's pieces of wood. Some of them have been carved into specific shapes, but others are just... They almost look like long bands of wood that have been burnt.
Okay.
Watches after he's dumped it out and he starts to shovel dirt back into the hole. Just rubs his chin. Then looks around himself. For a second, you almost can swear that his eyes stop dead on the orb.
Ruh-roh.
But they continue scanning past. Must be my imagination. Going crazy, I swear. Just continues shoveling dirt back into the hole.
Okay.
Before you see it completely closed up, get the sensation of being pulled upwards again.
Well, I was about to say, like, as soon as he starts filling hole back up, she would try to get the focus back over to the hut for in case that's needed to be seen before time runs out.
You don't seem to be able to move terribly far away from his position is the thing.
Okay, that's fair. At least turn it to where I can see the hut. If that makes any sense.
After feels like around 10 minutes is up, you suddenly find yourself back exactly where you were standing for having this weird out-of-body experience. Yes, I know. It can be quite jarring the first time. How do you feel?
Oh, like I need to go sit down, but I have to walk back to my hotel.
There's a small waiting room that you can go sit down in if you need some time to recollect yourself.
Yeah,
But I was able to find out the city that your location where you scried upon was next to. For the sake of privacy, I was not going to scry directly upon the person, but I switched my focus to the location we saw while venturing towards him.
All right.
So basically, to explain better, this individual did not look at what you just witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as a potential location they could actually send a letter to was seen, they moved their focus to try to figure out what city that was.
Okay, so he was doing his job. Morgan was being a snoop.
Pretty much, like, you had no reason to switch your focus. They just had a job.
That's fair.
Also, because it's a family member, they're not too particularly interested in seeing your private matters. That's not their business.
Also fair.
Business is send letters.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but let me see. Starts flipping through some small documents. So that township that he was next to. Let's see. It's actually a rather famous one. I'm surprised he's not living inside of it if he's able to at least be near there.
Oh. Can I take my hands off these crystals now?
Yes, of course. Sorry about that. I should have said that earlier.
Alright. Like, she will take her hands off the crystals, but, like, kind of rest her arms on the counter.
It's weird because that was a very bizarre sensation, but there doesn't really seem to be any after effects from it.
She's just feeling mentally woozy.
Yeah. It's like they mentioned. It's nauseating, but it's not terrible.
Yeah, so she's just trying to recollect herself while he gets the information for her.
Alright then. So many of these settlements have very similar names to each other. Always so annoying about trying to find the right one. You ever had that problem?
Oh, it can be that way on my home island. Some settlements don't even have a name.
We're just gonna get mad at me for this name because I actually had to look it up to make sure it was right. It's very similar to something. Yes. So that particular city is called Petalfall.
Alright. I'm actually going to be going to the Blossom Kingdom in the next while. Would it be possible for me to get a physical copy of this information?
Certainly, if you'd like to write it down, I'd want to post that. Do you have a map on you by chance?
No, but I might be able to find someone who can circle it on a map for me. If I have the name of it.
Yes, it is called Petalfall. Like a flower petal.
Alrighty. She'll pull out a scrap piece of paper, and if... I don't imagine she'd have a ink and quill on her, so if there's one she can borrow, she'll just...
Yeah, they provide you one.
Yeah, so she'll just grab one and write this down on her own scrap of paper.
Petalfall, and you'll be able to find it rather quickly by going through the Honeydew Field.
Alright. Very floral names, but considering the name of the kingdom, I'm not that surprised.
is probably the reason why the Blossom Kingdom, beyond the pure aesthetics of the main citadel of the Blossom Kingdom itself, got the name. There's actually a massive forest of flowers that are rivaling the heights of our ironwoods.
Oh. Well, even if I don't run into him on there, at least I'll enjoy the scenery, it sounds like.
I've been once before. It's quite beautiful.
Good to know.
Be aware, if you have a heightened sense of smell, it can be rather jarring, though.
Makes mental note to warn Lee. And
Oh,
Failsy,
that-
too, because she's unsure with Failsy if Failsy has heightened sense of smell.
They will show you where this is.
Okay.
So I will actually write this on the map.
Okay. And just whenever we get back to the map, it'll be marked, I guess.
Yeah. There we go. That's marked now. But they essentially show you that it is the northwestmost, eastmost large settlement in the Blossom Kingdom.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, we actually do have a correspondence location in that city, so it'd actually not be terribly expensive to send a piece of documentation there.
Alrighty, so what do I owe
Be
you
10
for?
gold.
10 gold?
Yes.
Alright, and just because it's quick and easy, she'll just hand him a platinum.
Thank you very much.
It's just easier to... takes up less space using these when you have it.
Of course. Not many people do carry a denomination of currency this size, but I am not here to question our clientele.
So long as they pay up, it's good to go.
More or less.
Fair enough.
Mostly deal with high-standing individuals anyways. It's rare that we have someone come in spending coppers, at least. It happens.
Eh.
10 golden coppers and you just get a bag thrown at you. Anyways. Very well. We'll make sure that these get sent away immediately. If
Alright.
you have any more need of our service or recommend us to anyone, feel free to.
I think you might be seeing some of my friends in the next few days.
Fair enough. We'll gladly help serve them and provide them things for an obvious monetary gain.
Right. Well, thank you for your help. You've been lovely.
Thank you very much for coming and working with us. Basically takes the documents that you have given over and actually watches the individual who is working, the small gnome, walks out from behind the counter, takes them over to a much larger crystal, is towards the back of this building.
Mm-hmm.
You just watch as they take that piece of paper that was wrapped around the documents, make several scribbly notes on it, again wrap it around them, and just feed the paper and all of its contents directly into that crystal, and you watch as it sort of just disintegrates into the crystal, and a small pulse of light goes out the top of it.
Okay. I know in the Google Doc I sent you, it didn't have, it was just the message itself, but she would have signed each one of the letters.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know if that's necessary, so she figured better to sign just in case.
Fair enough. All right. Whatever you feel doing feel like doing for the rest of the day is up to you, but if you wouldn't mind, we can go ahead and move to Drinche's next step.
Yeah, rest of her day would just be like further relaxing and stuff, and that does not need to be role played out. So
Drinche.
Yes.
You are existing. What you do
Yes.
after getting
Yes.
the first. What you do after getting the first night of proper rest by your standards you've had in a long time.
Yes, this is one of those times where it's like, finally! Oh, this is a life of luxury that I miss.
Finally, a bed with actual feather pillows.
Hmm.
A comforter.
Hmm. And it's so soft and fluffy. And the bats! Boy, have I missed these!
You've had these a couple of different ways.
Yes.
The Blossom Kingdom, you can actually straight up just take a slime bath.
Hmm.
Which is bizarre, but gets you real clean, real effectively.
Yes. He would have at least done that once just to get the experience. But it's not one you go for a long soak in.
You can actually soak in it for as long as you want to. Some of them only clean off. Some of them will only clean off surface level stuff because it's very weak slimes.
Fair.
And they're slimes, not gelatinous cubes.
Hmm.
Some of them are quite weak. They're actually also used to clean sewers. But filth is filth, and they get it all off. So what would you like to do with your first day?
Provided he doesn't have anything else that would kind of the wayside him, Da Vinci is going to go to the Emerald Bastion and one question: is the guard that made a comment about his jewelry, is he on post right now?
I will say this, it's very hard to tell the guards apart from each other because they wear full head coverings and everything. They all, aside from very minor differences in physique, they all look like basically the same person. You can't really see much about much about them.
Well, he's going to go and put in a request, if possible, to have audience with Granum to discuss about the findings of his journey thus far.
Unlike your last couple of meetings where Granum has been pretty readily available, it actually takes a while before you can get a chance to see him. Partially because the guard on hand still don't recognize you, so when you come asking for odd, they don't necessarily take you seriously.
Yeah, like he understands this is his home, and his home's a busy place.
Yeah.
So it's better to put in the request and have it be processed through than try to walk in and say, "Hey, want to talk?"
Fair enough. It actually takes the happenstance of Indra walking past you, trying to not necessarily argue, but convince these guards that you are who you say you are, that you're important. Which, I hate to say this, but even with good roles, wouldn't be something they'd necessarily believe. But it takes her just happening to walk past you after an hour of going in circles with this, or before they're just like, "Oh, he's not kidding. Oh, he's not kidding. We're in trouble."
Well, now, given how much time has been wasted, maybe you could expedite that request.
Yeah, you watch as pretty much after that point, one of them personally runs off to send it through. Still takes a pretty decent while before you actually do get your audience, though.
Of course, and
Getting-
in the meantime, you would just chat with Indra.
You just, I mean, you know what Indra's about. She just talks with you
Yeah.
about things of that nature. She
Yeah.
could tell you're also about that.
Yeah, we just have a long, in-depth discussion about a variety of
Partners.
topics that we're both familiar with.
Partners in crime. Crime is anyone's guess. Adultery. Anyways. Yes. It's it's mid-afternoon by the time you actually do get your audience, and honestly, about halfway through that, Indra did have to leave you because she is a busy woman and needs to take care of things.
Which is fair.
You do get your audience mid-afternoon, around 4 in the afternoon at that point. Trinche. How goes, my boy?
It goes well. How about you, Granum?
Just sighs and looks at you.
Busy day.
Every day is busy.
Well,
Especially now.
I don't wish to take up too much of your time. I want to give you a report about the status of Altia and what I have found so far in regards to my search.
Yes, please continue. Remember us discussing this, since that's part of why we originally decided to make the partnership that we currently have.
Yes, he's going to. I imagine they're like sitting at a table.
Yeah, you're basically in a very small conference room.
He's going to pull out the pocket watch or the timepiece of travel. So, to bring you back up to speed, as you know, this is a piece of Altia. And Altia herself had upgraded it, which allowed it to direct me to a specific location. That location, which is found in the south of the Flagora Desert, was a large tower called the Kronos Labyrinth.
He sort of steeples his fingers as he listens to you. Basically, I hate to describe it this way, but he's basically doing the Gindo Akari pose.
Yes. The Kronos Labyrinth stands out as a large tower surrounded by white sand in the Flagora Desert. There, my companions and I had Oh, and when he mentions about the white sand, he pulls out from his backpack a jar of the white sand.
That brings back memories.
There, we had experienced a trial of sorts, of puzzles, and having to fight various constructs before we had gained access to a moving platform and were met by the guardian of the Kronos Labyrinth, which your granddaughter had named Sky, as it did not have a name on its own. Sky?
Terribly surprising.
Sky had provided us access to a forge, which provided our companion Brimstone with a significantly powerful weapon. And was able to answer a number of our questions. Some of the information is admittedly concerning, but that's why I wish to discuss with you.
You're permitted to speak freely.
Sky told us about what happened to Altia, the events that happened that caused her to be in the state she is. She is, however, indeed alive. Just gravely wounded and unable to repair herself. In order to repair herself, pieces of her need to be collected. One such piece being the timepiece, another being the dog Fenrir that travels along with our tiefling companion Failsy. Your archaeologist Velchal was also at the Kronos Labyrinth, and she had a few pieces herself.
Yes, she recently wrote back to us after so long.
And an issue with the Kronos Labyrinth is that when you enter, the time changes. So when we were in there, every hour inside was 1 day outside. As indicated by my timepiece informing us when an hour would pass by.
It's a handy piece of gear, then.
Yes, it very much is. The timepiece was also then adjusted to direct me to the nearest piece of Altia in the area. And he'll flip it open and turn it to the compass mode so that Granum can see that it is pointing in a specific direction, even slightly adjusting as it slides towards him.
Actually, as you open it this time, it is currently rotating between 2 points.
Interesting. Huh. This is interesting. The compass seems to indicate that we are currently in between two pieces of Altia that are presumably both within this city.
Just to clarify, it's not like spinning and like facing, like pointing in two opposite directions. It's essentially, if you were pointing it north, it's occasionally flicking between what would be north. I mean, obviously it's not actually north because this is not a compass that points north. North is just the forward-facing direction. but it is pointing forward and then off to the left. It flicks back to forward and then flicks back to the off left spot.
Yeah, so indicating that it's like there's one in this direction and then flick, there's one in that direction.
And as you are watching it, the flicking stops and it just continues pointing at the due forward position.
That is interesting, but my point is that this would normally just idle if it is like if we're out in the wilds where there is no peace nearby, it will idle. With it having a hard pointing direction, it indicates that there is a piece of Altea here in this city, and I surmise that it might be in the cathedral to the what'd you say it was to the east?
No, the Bastion is the far east part of the city. The cathedral is at the far north part of the city.
Okay. To the cathedral on the northern part of the city. As for how easy it would be to acquire it, I don't know. I haven't explored that yet. But
Sort of strokes his beard.
But there are also some very significantly powerful pieces of Altea that, if brought to her, would restore her in a swift manner. However, those are the chain. It was chains of Ignesia. The chains of Ignesia, the trident of Aquila, the net that bounds Jezebeth, and the orrery that contains Corvanus's influence under Failhaven.
Yes. I'm aware of the orrery.
The
chains and the net and the trident. To an extent, I am also aware of those. Those are very closely guarded things by the other two.
There is, however, one alternative that was proposed. And he is going to pull out one of the last pieces of primum gears he has, as well as the jar that contains a whole bunch of golden thread that he extracted from the spider all those sessions ago. Yep. These are made of primum, and they were found as a part of a construct, specifically a spider construct, that was coated in this. Just pulls out a piece of furnished porcelain because he, for some reason, still has a piece of the porcelain leg.
Does Vinci have a bag of holding?
No, he just has been leaving this stuff in the cart.
I love the concept that he just pulls it out of a pocket, not realizing how big it was, and now questioning how it was in his pants.
He does at least have a backpack.
Yeah.
But once they had a cart, it's just like, well, this stuff can just stay in the cart. Until now, where it's like, okay, I need to be prepared for this, so I'm going to grab all the evidence that I need. Mm. These were found, or this construct was found, on Kingfisher Island. And it appears that there is a forge located, I estimate, at the center of the island that originates these constructs. I was informed that there might be a way to, if not have our pieces reclaimed, to have new pieces made for Altea.
I have to imagine that would be quite a large ask.
I unfortunately don't know. Now, using some of these components, the timepiece allows me to teleport, so I could teleport to Kingfisher Island. How hazardous a journey that might be, and how much time that would take, though, is currently up to question.
That's fair. I know a bit about Kingfisher Island. It's always been a place of a great amount of misfortune. I do actually remember about it. That is where one of the starfalls happened. Long time ago.
If you don't mind, could you recant that tale?
I mean, it's not much of a tale. At one point, Kingfisher Island was just a small volcanic island in the middle of the strait between Jezebeth and Desverel. But a starfall happened. You're familiar with those. Well, I suppose one hasn't happened in centuries.
The closest thing that I'm aware of, other than the story of Altea herself, is that a lump of metal. What was it? What did Brimstone call it? Vibration something? I'm not quite sure. Had fallen from the sky and landed near our party. And in it were found elemental jewels.
So you've actually experienced a starfall. At least a smaller one.
Guess you could say yes. Failsy has been trying to sell the metal for a while now, but no one's willing to take it.
And probably need to go to Tezverel itself to do that. Doubt you'll find someone in the market for something so large in this country.
That's what I told her.
It's interesting. Starfalls are so rare, and yet you've actually encountered one. Guess I shouldn't be surprised from your group.
We've had some very bizarre situations happen, that's for sure.
Fair enough. I would recommend that if you do believe that is a course of action, you should seek out. And that starfall happened, the one that caused Kingfisher Isle to become what it is now. I remember there being a jewel dislodged, frozen on a gout of volcanic glass. some form of power source for the foundry that is within that place. If that truly is what it is.
So the power source for the Kronos Labyrinth came from Kingfisher Island?
No, I don't believe so, at least. It's very similar to some of these power sources I saw Altia and her kin to me many years ago.
Hmm. That is... If it's possible that it might still be there, or at least something of a similar power, it does...
You actually do remember that you saw the large jewel hanging from that spire. He shot it with a crossbow.
Oh yes, that jewel. Oh yes, now I remember. That giant jewel that was hanging almost like a fishing line above a bait. What's the word called? Not cauldron. A bay.
It's a bay.
Hanging above a bay in Kingfisher Island. One of our companions ended up shooting it with a crossbow, and it lured the Kingfisher right to it.
Yes. Leviathans have always had some interest in that type of magic. My understanding, they subsist their existence off consuming magical energy. Specifically that of chaotic magical energy, but I believe any form can sustain them.
So in other words, that giant crystal's like a dinner buffet that's just waiting to be grasped. Just out of reach.
Oh. I mean, if it is what I think it is, and it functions the way I would suspect it to, then just being near it is a dinner buffet.
Fair.
It's probably the only reason why Kingfisher is the size that it is. It is a relatively young Leviathan.
And also probably why it stays so close to that island.
Chances are high. Kingfisher in of itself is a Leviathan that was born in this generation.
Now, it did end up getting wounded due to an altercation where I tried to sink the boat we were on, and you know who was on it.
No way.
Yep.
He actually looks a little concerned thinking about that. Doesn't seem like her to do something like that. I haven't seen her in so long. Suppose I don't know.
If she didn't, we would have ended up all dying. Maybe it was to protect this new group of children.
Well, she's never been one to play favorites when it comes to her children, so I'm surprised is all. She would raise a hand to one of her other children to protect others. I suppose it's not entirely out of character for her now that I think more on it. believe you might be able to. Elway can be healed and restored completely. I believe you might be able to prevent Kingfisher from attacking you again. She presents herself to it immediately. It is
That
her
would
child,
be-
after all.
That's good to know. I am writing up letters to contact Fuyumi and Akari of the Blossom Kingdom Council. They might have the resources to get us the information we need in regards to the weapon we found, as well as also maybe ways to to assist her.
Of course. I thank you for this information.
You're very welcome. So I am going to be seeking out the piece of Altea or pieces potentially that are in this city. If I encounter any resistance or difficulty, like a person is unwilling to part with it, seeing it as it being in the cathedral as a holy item, do you have any advice or alternatives that can assist in getting it?
I believe I might actually know what it is you're detecting. The cathedral was constructed, much to my dismay, to be honest. But when it was constructed, and Maker came to us with the idea of adding the clock tower onto the cathedral as well, since he was also a friend and companion of Altea during their travels.
So it might be the clock tower.
Piece of the clock tower.
So if the piece were moved, there's potential the clock tower wouldn't work anymore. Is that an outcome that is acceptable?
We can find another way to make a clock tower work. I'll be honest though, no one's gone inside that building in a long time. It has functioned on its own for so long, there's never been a need to maintain it. As such, the people who are supposed to watch over it, to my understanding, have grown rather lax in its inspection over the last few years. I've been meaning to send people to inspect it, but been very busy.
Well, I don't mind. Well, clock towers aren't exactly my forte. I'm willing to take a look through it, and I'm sure that that maybe one or two of my companions be willing to also inspect such a mechanical marvel.
Of course. I'll write you up a script of passage to get in there without question.
That
He
is all
says
I
so
ask.
and actually begins immediately writing it.
And that is all I ask. That aside, my plan is to, with each significant location we visit, to review if there is a peace within the city, as well as occasionally, as well as trying to keep an eye on the timepiece as we make our travels across the countryside.
Is likely for the best. During your explanation, you mentioned that some of the pieces were also broken up. You mentioned this Fenris had a single piece of something. Gear?
Yes. I forgot to mention that in the spider construction that I had extracted these items, there was a gear that was taken out that had a magical energy to it. Failsy had fed that gear to a wolf construct that we had captured on the island, and so that gear is a piece of Altea. Correct me if I'm wrong, it was a body piece, and what the watch is a heart piece. Correct?
Yes, but you were told that there are multiple gears.
Yes. Hmm.
From everything you've been told, there seem to be a bunch of gears that fit together to make a single thing.
Yeah. The Fenris has a gear that is a component to Altea's body, and the information gathered in the Kronos Labyrinth is that the timepiece itself is a component of her heart.
You've been to the Emerald Plateau, haven't you? I know you have. I assume you've met the
Yes.
toy maker there.
Yes. That is a piece of unfortunate news, I'm afraid. I had acquired what. I had acquired a wooden box that the timepieces indicated that the piece of Altea was in. However, it was both a puzzle box and a locked box that required a key. I had provided it to my companion Failsy to see if she had the capability of opening the box, thus not requiring destructive measures. And when she was
understand where this is going.
And when she was captured, that box had been confiscated in
Perhaps
Fellhaven.
perhaps while we're doing our research to try to make ourselves aware of Keta's current location, we might find that turned up.
That would be much appreciated if that information does come up.
We'll keep our eyes out for it. We have several people already investigating this, even on such short notice.
And we'll
He
do
hands
what
you a
we
piece of
can.
paper.
Thank you.
Is an actual written rite of passage from Granum to enter the clock tower with his personal seal stamped into it. Right then. This is a lot.
Mm, That's all the information that I have to provide. If there's anything else you would like to discuss or ponder upon, no, I'm happy to do so. Otherwise, we can give you at least a bit of time back to your day.
It's given me a lot to think about yet again. Getting to wonder if I should try growing a second head with how much you've given me to think on.
I knew the information would be well used in your hands.
As well used as I can use it. Even I have limits.
Of course. I'm not going to
Okay.
expect you to walk up to Aquila and say, "Give me that trident."
That would be war. That is something that we've frankly had too much of throughout all of our lifetimes.
I concur. But if you are potentially going to plan for an expedition to Kingfisher Island to pursue the idea of this forge, I am but a message away.
If we intend to do so, I will let you know. But I actually do believe that something of that nature would be better held by not withheld by jurisdiction parties. You catch my meaning?
I understand.
I can't just move a task force through Jezebeth to reach Kingfisher Isle, after all. Not without Aquila questioning it.
That is true.
Last thing we need is that man discovering that there's a potential hole, the source of power. Days travel from his mainland.
Yes, potentially a surveillance expedition might be less curious, but I'll leave that to what you feel is best.
I'll think on it. For now, until we speak again, be safe.
And
Stay alive.
and I always try my best on that front. And I wish you to have a good day, Gainam. Till we meet again.
He just nods towards you. Alright.
And yeah, Da Vinci's going to nod back and then leave with after having packed up his stuff, unless Granum wanted to keep any of it.
Just distinctly don't want to carry it with you. He doesn't have any interest of taking your things. As it currently stands, he can't use it for anything.
Well, the offer was also extended in case any scribes would be, or researchers would be interested in it, but otherwise he would just pack it all up.
Metal, not really the purview of anyone in this place. They have iron and they have wood, and that's all I need.
Which is fair.
Okay, but moving to the end of the first day, I realized that a lot of the rest of the downtime is actually going to be dominated potentially by you guys going through the clock tower. That'll be a fun next session. As the first day comes to its end, you all happen to find yourself yet again in that inn that you were staying in. And oddly enough, you, Brimstone, because Bliss wanted to actually see what she put Morrigan through. So I assume you at least somewhat would inform her of what happened.
I mean, if Brimstone brings Bliss and Morrigan can tell her, she would.
Well, what I mean is Brimstone going back to the place. Muted, by the way, Mythosia. I don't know if he would tell her. Basically, that very confusing.
Myth?
No, did Myth fall asleep?
No, I went to the bathroom.
It's fair. Oh, we didn't have a bio break. I'm sorry about that, guys.
Oh, that's fine.
Kind of expected since we were kind of individually zoning in on people. You could take your bio breaks whenever it wasn't your turn.
Yeah,
That's what I did.
Okay.
I did the same thing. Sorry, Armored.
Nope. Hey, no worries. I ended up taking time to clean up my desk.
Fair enough.
All right then. So, would Brimstone have at least mildly told Bliss what Morrigan told him about what the key did?
Yeah. Because it's funny.
So, because of that, she makes you take her there because she's curious to see it now too. And Vinche, as you come back, realize that every one of your companions, including a woman you've never met before, is currently stopped in a part of the penthouse looking at something. And everyone else, you hadn't noticed this before while just hanging out normally, and most because you more or less went straight to bed the day before, after baths and such. While looking around the main room of this foyer of the penthouse, there's a giant, scantily clad painting of Dravenche. Just him strewn out across a lounging couch with various pieces of fruit, specifically grapes and pomegranates, set about him in a very come hither look on his face.
Huh.
As you come back in, Dravince, you just see them all staring at something on a wall you don't currently see.
What's going on? Are y'all looking out the window or something?
Oh.
Da Vinci, what the fuck?
What?
You come forward and see that very same painting, Da Vinci.
What? He just straight pauses as his brain is just processing this. Oh,
Just what the little loading circle icon just appears on Da Vinci's forehead as he looks at it.
yeah, just like where could this have happened? Oh. Wait. How did that get here?
How did what?
I mean, Brimstone, you see this large 10 by 16 painting.
Yeah.
10 wide by 16 high.
Yeah.
No, opposite way. 10 tall by 16 wide.
Makes sense.
Surrounded by other smaller paintings, by the way. That is just the centerpiece.
I had completely forgotten about those.
You mean
how
there's
do you-
more of them?
Well, I'm trying to remember. Well, if there's one, there's probably more.
How drunk are you in this picture?
Your
Looks up.
recollection, from your recollection, Dravinche, you don't think you were drunk at all when that happened?
No, just looks up at it. Looks back to the group. Oh, not at all.
And yeah, I don't mean to be cause for alarm, but your fridge just started screaming.
Uh,
Stopped, but it did it for a second.
Yeah, it's still having some issues. It's been doing better since it got defrosted, though.
Fair enough.
Hmm.
Continue.
Oh, I don't remember much about that specific point, but I definitely wasn't drunk. Huh? To think that these would have shown up here.
Did you do, like, some model work to make some extra coin in the past or something?
I
Dravinche, as it happens, you just suddenly flash back, just. "Ah."
I can't really remember. Oh, right. No, I can't really remember.
Uh-huh. If you're going to try to hide a revelation like that, you probably shouldn't say, "Oh, right," out loud before you crack cover.
I mean, it's not a huge deal. I ended up doing some. I ended up working as a bodyguard, and I don't exactly remember where it was. But
Right.
this
What?
artist had thought I was good art material.
Right. Art material.
I will say that there is certainly a level of artistry that's gone into this. Certainly does resemble you. A good deal.
Yes, to what I remember, he is a very good artist. Quite popular amongst higher circles.
Well, given the fact that it's here, I'm not terribly surprised to hear that. Oh, Bliss, by the way. I don't think we've met.
Oh, my name is Dravinche. I am guessing you're Brimstone's fiance.
Like, looks back at Brimstone. Yes, I do need to properly officiate that again at some point, Brimstone.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's true.
It's been a while. We are in one of the most holy cities in the whole country, so...
Yeah, I know.
It's definitely good to meet you. I feel like you're probably the only one of Brimstone's companions I haven't met yet.
Wait, you met Failsday?
I've definitely seen her. I don't know if we've formally met. For this point, at least.
I'm sure I remember someone this pretty.
Ed recedes into turtleneck.
She is right, though. Brimstone, you certainly are lucky with what you got.
Yup.
I'd like to think I'm the lucky one.
Hmm. There's definitely is something about you. I think that's the first time I actually seen Brimstone held a smile for more than 5 seconds.
Keep talking like that, you won't be seeing nothing anymore.
And that's
He might-
back to the way he is.
Brimstone has a beautiful smile.
Well, you do have a certain way of invoking it, yes.
I'd like to think that it's part of my job to make sure you're not so much of a sourpuss. I'd like to think I'm good at my job.
I think we've had a few confirmation sessions, shall we say?
I agree.
Then you've got a lot of backlog to work through.
You're not wrong. Definitely not wrong.
Eventually,
Speaking of which, Brimstone,
get one.
I know that look in your eyes. You're not allowed to murder people.
That's why I said he gets one.
We should be going. It's getting a bit dark.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes. Again, it's a pleasure to meet you, Bliss.
It's a pleasure to meet you as well, Dervinche.
And apologies that this. He just gestures to the painting. Is your first experience of me, but
It's not like you wear many more clothes, anyways.
I will say, if you're going to be introduced to someone in any way, 160 square foot poster or 160 square foot painting, it certainly makes a statement.
that is why I allowed him to put my face on it.
Yeah, the Fidrica, that sounds about right.
Then, I'm going to take my fiance and get my shop fully closed up for the evening, and we will see you all at a later point. So I imagine you all are quite tired. It seems probably had eventful days around what I've heard.
Yeah.
And you two have a pleasant evening.
I always do when I'm with him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm partially gonna drag Brimstone away. Make sure, but keeping eyes on him the whole time to make sure he doesn't try to shoot Dervinche.
I know what you're thinking. I'm not gonna do it.
I'm
Yes.
still not going to let it happen. I'm not going to give you a chance. You shoot someone in this city, I am probably going to have to deal with it considering I am the actual resident of this city.
Alright, Amy. I won't shoot him here.
I don't recommend you shoot him anywhere, but that's more of the spirit. It's the last thing that gets heard from the two of them as they leave the room.
I don't know why, it's so fun to push his buttons.
You might want to be careful how far you push them.
I feel like I need to get my staff back before I push any more buttons from him.
That's fair. Before we all... Felzy, can I talk with you for a few minutes before we all head to bed?
Okay.
I'll leave you two then, I'll drop a bath.
Right. I hope y'all are okay with this, because I don't expect this to take very long, and Fail Trails, you know exactly what it is I'm pulling Failsy aside for.
Go right on ahead.
I don't have anything to do after this, so it's fine.
And just if there's a just have Failsy to follow her into a empty suite or empty room of the suite. Bleh. I just wanted to apologize for the way I was behaving the other day.
Apologize.
For the way I was acting while we had Sonata with us while going around the city. Mostly
Yeah.
my choice of words. I shouldn't have done that.
Wondering why you did.
I half panic, half like I feel a bit of a connection with her, but not like similar to that of a older sister, but I don't know, I panicked and I guess they wouldn't believe I was the girl's sister, but you know, maybe they'd believe I was an aunt. I panicked and I shouldn't have, and I'm sorry.
It's fine. Being an aunt really doesn't need to be by blood. I have so many aunts who's in this most temple that I don't even know their names of.
So you're not upset then?
Not at all. Just
Sure.
don't forget her birthday, or she might be pissed.
Well, now that she's up and talking a bit more, hopefully you can find that out. Didn't exactly get a chance to ask Cadence what it is. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's perfectly fine. People have weird notions of family.
Oh, different cultures, different notions. She just kind of shrugs.
You're all still weird though.
I'm not gonna deny that I do have my eccentricities. I think everyone does.
And prude. Why is everyone a prude out here?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, things would probably be a little easier if people were a little more open about stuff, but eh. Yeah, I wanted to apologize for that. So if you have any plans you want to do with your evening, I won't keep you.
Do you think my coin curse is a bit light? I might need to go find a new job.
Well,
I don't think I can keep stealing from Da Vinci.
well, I wish you luck on finding that job.
See you later, Auntie Morrigan. He's my cousin.
We can figure all that out later. Just go. Good luck with what you're gonna do this evening.
Goes is off to go find the madam.
Just before that happens,
All right then.
Vinci comes back, got the bath ready up, and oh, Felzy, quick question.
Maybe a quick answer.
How do you feel about exploring a advanced mechanical? How do you feel about exploring an advanced mechanical item in order to find a piece of a deity?
Give me another deity.
No, not another one. No, but there's a clock. There's the cathedral at the north of the city that's been built a long time ago, and its clock tower is apparently so advanced that it hasn't even needed maintenance for a very, very long time. And I got permission to go in there and check it out. Might be interesting.
Long. What's the pay?
No pay, but do get a piece of Altea. Don't have to do it now, just something to do during the week. And of course, Morgan, you are welcome to join in if you wish.
If you think I could be helpful, then yeah.
Apparently it hasn't been maintained in a long time, so there might be unknown things lurking about up there. Bats in the belfry and all that.
There's that
Maybe
cat
there's a cat in
again.
your room.
Anyway, sorry to spring this on you. Just figured I'd ask before I start adventuring it alone. Maybe we could ask Brimstone. He might have some fun. Might.
Fun and brimstone do not go together, ever.
It does when it involves shooting.
Even then, he makes it unfun.
Fair enough. Anyway.
And bliss.
That's all what I wanted to say. I'm going for a good soak now.
Yeah, you feel like you need one after the echoed in your mind.
Yes, I need to wash that memory away again.
All right then. With that, I think that's where we're going to end off session for tonight.
Yee.
Probably do some downtime stuff out of game because I let you all talk too much.
Yep.
Hey, the two main things I wanted to have done of my downtime to happen on screen happened on screen, so I'm good.
Sam.
You know?
Yeah, most of my... some of my stuff can happen just off... Most of my stuff can happen off screen, too.
I just want to get some of those important things covered. I feel like we got some of the really important stuff that need to be on stream covered.
Yes, a lot. Many lore dumps.
Listen, I'm good at lore dumping.
Yes, yes, you are.
I can dump with the best of them.
You can make the hardest dumps.
Yeah, really strain that. Anyways. So yeah. Did. Let's wrap up this motherfucker!
Yes. So, does anyone have anything they would like to shout out, announce, promote?
No.
I'm good.
And
Okay.
nothing.
Not currently. So I do not do anything interesting aside from constantly write for D&D campaigns.
That's fair. Well. Then
And if you're talking, we can't
Yeah.
hear you.
I'm talking. I might have
Yeah, we
accidentally
couldn't hear you for a second.
hit the mute button on the microphone itself. Sorry. At least it was only for a few seconds.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, if anybody was listening and enjoyed this, and you would like to hear more of the Scattered Realms, you can join us again next Saturday at or around 8 p.m. EST. And if you would like to if you'd rather hop into a campaign that's only got 2 sessions under its belt, is set in more modern setting, but still has all that lovely D&D flair, you can join us on this same channel on Thursdays at or around 7 p.m. EST for Project Ada.
Hey! I write that one too!
Yes. And it is quite enjoyable. It's kind of fun playing a non-charismatic character who's just so tired. And he's only had 1 day on the job.
I mean, you fought quicklings on your first day on the job.
That's fair.
It's kind of tire anyone out.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Alrighty, so we all good to end things?
I believe I am.
What about everybody else?
Yep.
Right, everybody say goodnight.
Good night.
Night!
Good night, everybody. We'll see y'all on Thursday.